Nice. Hi, my name is Sebastian. This is Vision Denial and the Road to MSI, where I watch all 12 regions participating in MSI's playoff series, yes, including that one. And along all of my huge posts that I used to do last year, I would usually say congratulations to the first two Yayish team to qualify. And so today, congratulations to Damwon Gaming Kia for being the first team to qualify for MSI. Round of applause. Round of applause. Now, so let's get to it. So we got Damwon Gaming Kia, who won 3-0 against Genji. And it was a little disappointing. Game 1, pretty good. Game 2, I can't believe what was happening. Game 3, Genji looked like they gave up. So what are the things I liked? There's variety amongst these drafts. And, of course, Coma, the greatest coach to have ever lived, graces us with some really bizarre draft decisions. Coma doesn't draft necessarily to be the best drafter. He drafts to psychologically tear you down. And honestly, cool, congratulations. Genji looked like they gave up halfway through Game 3. And so I guess it worked. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean specifically because a lot of these compositions that were built up by Damwon showed like similar types of win conditions that Genji's draft had, but had less ease of execution for their ability. And mostly this comes to a stylistic point, right? It just means that Damwon played more complicated compositions than Genji. And at the end of the day, like regardless of my preference for a simpler composition over a more complicated composition, has more to do with the way that I see teams usually play in to these particular compositions. Now, most of the time, a lot of these lower region teams, because most of the time there's probably going to be, at any given international tournament, 3 to 4 teams at most. Usually 2 for sure, but 3 to 4 at most. Teams that actually know how to properly execute these more complicated compositions. And granted, Damwon is really good at that, for the most part. I criticized Damwon for their last series because we only get to see 2 series out of them compared to a lot of the other teams. I criticized them for their really, really poor early game. They had probably one of the worst early games, and it just showed to me that likelihood Korea was not going to do super great. And it was a toss-up for me between Genji and Kia and Damwon here, whether or not Genji was going to win or whether or not Damwon was going to win, depending on if Damwon picked up their early game issues. And honestly speaking, they did. I don't know what else to say. Almost all of the problems disappeared. This was solid, clean early gameplay. And this is not just to, like, there's this aspect here from the series that showed that Genji knew what they were going into, because game 2, they were attacking the win conditions from Damwon right off the start. They were playing to theirs. They had a great lead for the most part, but their hesitation to close out this game really bit them in the butt for some reason. Like, there was something that really troubled them, and it was really unfortunate to see, because I thought this was going to be a more competitive series. I really did. And I was happy to see that Damwon fixed up their early game, because it meant that we weren't going to be waiting nervously until the 29-minute mark where Damwon all of a sudden wins regardless of how good they played early game. No, this was going to be an honest to goodness, fair, back and forth. And it wasn't. And credit where it's due, Genji have their game 1 and their game 2 early games were pretty good. Damwon's was better somehow, but they were pretty good regardless. Both teams have solid, incredible vision, really good vision denial, They're playing around their information game with ease of execution most of the time. The I think the biggest gripe I have with Genji is that their target selection is really weird. They will go all in on something that probably doesn't benefit them in the long run. And like my mind goes to, and again, game 3 it looks like they gave up. So it's hard to evaluate, but this is the one that most immediately comes to mind. There's a point where Khan on Sion is literally bringing three members of Genji away from BDD and Ruler, who were isolated, and so it was 4 of them ganking up against their backline and 3 bruisers attacking a Sion. And so you can see where the problem lies, right? Like, their damage disparities are completely nullified. They're playing a 4v2 with a distraction. And it baffles me because you know for a fact that Genji are way better than this. They played to their win conditions. They did so for game 1 and game 2. Game 3 was really bizarre for some reason, but I mean, they still did it. They play with their information very well. They have weak minion and wave manipulation for some reason in this series, and I don't know if that's a consequence of just the way that Damwon was playing, or if it's just something Genji was having trouble with. Either or, that still was the case. Which leads me to Damwon played well. They opted into a game 2 with an early game draft and couldn't get the leads that they needed to, which is, it happens, right? It happens. So at that point, you just have to change and adapt and hope to play well. And it was mostly on Genji to win, as opposed to Damwon to win. Like, that statement is, because Genji's composition inherently works better at some of the stages of the game later in, it means that Damwon Gaming's best moves, no matter what, would lead them to lose, right? And so they were reliant on Genji not winning. Now, Damwon still played exactly how they needed to, and Genji didn't. And I'm happy to see that this particular series didn't have the whole one team is super aggro, the other team is just waiting to punish thing, because Damwon, sure, in game 2 they did a lot of the punishing, but they were also very aggressive and were still trying to make any particular trades that were relevant so that they can still stay in the game, and it paid off. But I never saw either team just idly wait by. And honestly, great. Because if this is what's happening with China, China has like this one play style. Europe has pizzazz, and most of the other regions are playing around the same kind of idea of like one super aggro and one's just waiting to punish whatever mistakes are made. Hey. Hey, you, catto. Yeah, whatever, my cat's being weird. I don't know. And I go back to the thought process of the floor. So, like, we know who Damwon is going to be facing up against in terms of which regions, right? They are the team that qualified. And I'm not going to put it up yet. Oh, now my cat really needs to get out. Hold on. Ha. So yeah, I'm not going to put it up yet. That's probably something I'm going to discuss in the video right before I watch MSI stuff. I have to compare very little amount of games compared to all of the other tier 3 regions. China has a ludicrous amount of games, and Europe has a losers bracket where you're able to at least mix and match and get to see how all of them compare to each other. Korea doesn't have that. They just recently got away from the gauntlet style play, and their floor is solid. Like, if the way that these teams played, and all 6 of these teams played in playoffs played in MSI, they could all contend for top 3. At least given all the myriad of other teams that have played. And so their floor is really high compared to everybody else's. And sometimes their floor is higher than the ceiling of other regions. So that's a good sign for Damwon, because they have to contend with teams that were used to beating them early. And so other regions who are going to beat them early are going to have to wonder if they can beat them late game also. Because you can't guarantee anything at this point with this team. Which brings me to my other point. We only saw 2 series with them. One series where they played terribly the first 15 minutes for all of their games, and one series where they played great, like throughout. And so I have the nagging question in my head is, I can't confidently say that Damwon are the favorites going in. I can't. Not justifiably. Not given the fact from still Damwon's series against Homolife and this series where they have a game 1 they played great, a game 2 where they somehow managed to beat out a team that couldn't close, and a game 3 where a team looks like they gave up. And this is not to say that I expect them to do worse than 3rd place. No. This is a team that I expect to contend with whoever the favorite is, and that they are the ones that are going to give them the biggest question marks. But right now, until I solidly see how the other teams are competing, I cannot say that a European team or a Chinese team won't beat them, because from what I've seen, it is very likely they could. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Next up we have, another finals. We're going to find out who the second team to qualify was. Because we're going to Australia for their finals of Pentanet GG versus Peace as their rematch also. See you on the next one. Ciao.